Picture this: South Carolina, 1739. The air is thick with tension. For the thousands of enslaved Africans toiling in the rice fields, life is brutal and seemingly without hope. But whispers of freedom are carried on the wind, whispers from a place called Spanish Florida. This isn't just a story about a rebellion. It's a story about the unquenchable human thirst for liberty. Today, we're diving deep into the Stono Rebellion, the largest and most significant slave uprising in the British mainland colonies. So, what lit the fuse for this explosive event? A key factor was Spain's strategic move to destabilize its British rival. The Spanish crown issued a proclamation promising freedom and land to any enslaved person who could escape the British colonies and make it to St. Augustine, Florida. Imagine hearing that, a beacon of hope in a world of despair. This promise created a very real pathway to liberty, and it wasn't just a rumor. Fort Mose, established near St. Augustine, became the first legally sanctioned free black town in what is now the United States, a powerful symbol for those still in bondage. The rebellion began on a Sunday, September 9, 1739, near the Stono River. Why a Sunday? It was a day when many planters were in church, unarmed. The leader, a man named Josi, was likely from the Kingdom of Congo, an area in Central Africa with a long history of warfare. He and about 20 other Angolan slaves, many with military experience from their homelands, gathered together. Their first move was to break into a store, seizing guns and ammunition. They were no longer just laborers. They were soldiers in a fight for their own lives. With weapons in hand, their numbers quickly swelled. They marched south, their destination clear: Spanish Florida. They moved with a purpose, with banners flying and drums beating, a clear challenge to the colonial order. Along their path, they burned plantations and, unfortunately, killed more than 20 white colonists. It's crucial to understand this wasn't random violence. They spared some, like an innkeeper known to be kind. Their actions were a direct assault on the system that enslaved them. As they marched, their ranks grew to nearly 100 people, a formidable force born from desperation and courage. However, the colonial authorities were quick to react. The Lieutenant Governor, William Bull, happened upon the rebels by chance and quickly sounded the alarm, assembling a militia of about 100 planters and slave owners. The two forces clashed later that afternoon. The rebels, though courageous, were outgunned and ultimately overwhelmed. In the brutal battle that followed, most were killed. The colonists displayed their heads on stakes along the road as a grisly warning to anyone else who might dare to dream of freedom. Over the next few months, the remaining rebels were hunted down and executed. The rebellion was violently crushed. What was the aftermath? In the short term, the colonial response was swift and harsh. The South Carolina legislature passed the Negro Act of 1740. This was a series of incredibly restrictive laws designed to prevent any future uprisings. It made it illegal for enslaved people to assemble in groups, earn their own money, grow their own food, or even learn to read. The act also placed a temporary ban on importing new slaves, fearing that newcomers from Africa were more likely to rebel. The goal was to crush the spirit of the enslaved and strip away every last bit of their autonomy. But history has a longer view. While the Stono Rebellion was suppressed, it sent shockwaves through the institution of slavery. It shattered the complacent belief among slaveholders that the people they enslaved were content. It laid bare the deep-seated resistance and the constant simmering threat of revolt. The rebellion revealed the fundamental fragility of a society built on human bondage. It showed that no matter how oppressive the system, the desire for freedom could never be extinguished. Josi and his followers may have lost their lives, but their defiant stand became a powerful chapter in the long and arduous struggle for liberty and justice. Their story reminds us that freedom is never given, it is always fought for. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this piece of history as compelling as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Let me know in the comments what historical event you'd like to see covered next. See you in the next video.